Have you ever thought that you can't write your family history because you have writer's block? You just can't get the first sentence done, or you get going and then it just, you don't feel inspiration. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you writer's block isn't real. Yes, writer's block is not real. Writer's block is just an excuse for you not to write. So stop using the excuse that I can't write because I'm stuck. Well, let's talk about how we get unstuck. The first way to get unstuck is to stop thinking that you're just going to be inspired all the way through the project, because it's just not going to happen. Inspiration only comes after you have information, and you're not going to have your information until you actually put in the hours and days in order to get your first draft done, and then the editing process. You'll lack a lot of inspiration in the editing process, but writer's block isn't real. Stop waiting around for inspiration because it's just not going to come. Instead, let's talk about how you're going to overcome this writer's block. The first thing you need to do is you need to have a reasonable amount of research. I've had some darling people come to some writing workshops I've did in the past, and they would say, I'm going to write about my ancestor from the 1600s. Great. Have you researched them? No, but I've heard family stories. You kind of need to do some research before you can write about that person. So do a reasonable amount of research. And how do you know you've done a reasonable amount of research? Well, like we talk about over on the YouTube channel, you need to be checking out census records, city directories, land records, probate records, tax records, county histories. I said newspapers? Newspapers. Passenger list, anything that applies to the time and place you research. And once you've got that, you can start fleshing out a first draft, and you can get past your writer's block. The next thing I want you to do is to create a timeline. Okay, a lot of places can make timelines for you as you add these details from these records to an online family tree or into a genealogy program. So this one is from Ancestry. If you click on Life Story, it will have a timeline for you and some story starters. Roots Magic has a timeline. Family Search has a timeline with story starters, very similar to what you have here on Ancestry. There's even programs that will do timelines for you, but create a timeline of your ancestor's life so you can go, oh yeah, so when they were 10, they were living in this orphanage home, and then when we were 12, they ran away because they didn't like the manager of the orphanage home, and they went over here. So that way you can make sure that you write about each little detail that you've researched. So record by record, turn the timeline into paragraphs, because there's a lot of details on some of our records, and there's also some details on the backgrounds of those records and how they were created. So let's say your ancestor was baptized in the Catholic Church in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Well, not only are you going to get the little line that says who the parents were and the grandparents were for the mom and the dad's line, but you're also going to see, was it a legitimate or illegitimate child that was born? And then do a little bit of searching about that church that was in Santa Fe. What's the history? What did it look like? And then also research a little bit about the person who signed off on that baptism. Who was the priest to perform that information? And all of a sudden, you've got a great story going. You have the event, you have a history about that location, and then you've researched the priest, and now you have several paragraphs from one little entry. So never let one little entry be not enough to write a story. So here is the beginning of something I turned into a timeline. And this was actually captured off of either Family Search or Ancestry. And notice it said Laura Maud Smith was born in this location to Andrew Nelson Smith and Emmeline Ward, and they did the calculations for you. Now this is something that is fairly new in genealogy website services, is doing that calculation of how old they were. 27 and 16. That's quite the age gap, and Emmeline's kind of young too. So what is the story behind how they met and how they got the agreement between her parents to let her get married? Lots of little details when you start turning your documents into sentences. Now, for every document that you have, repeat that process. Take the event, turn it into a paragraph. Take the event, turn it into a paragraph. And you have that timeline to keep you organized so you can check off that timeline. It serves as your outline. So where's the writer's block? You have a timeline, you have documents, you turn it into a paragraph. No writer's block. So this video was just focused on how to overcome writer's block, and the best way to overcome writer's block is to turn documents into paragraphs. And then if you're really stuck then and you want to do something more, then be sure to go to the blog over on familyhistoryfanatics.com, click on blog, go to writers, and you're going to be there in a whole bunch of writing samples and tips and techniques and editing inspiration and social history, all of these things to help you get over your writer's block. I challenge you this week to start writing your family histories, get past that writer's block that you have, stop letting it be an excuse, and write your ancestor stories. You can do it.